ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Friday, January 20th. It's time for your drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I am your host, Paul Swann. Thanks for tuning in. We will be here until 6 o'clock. We're going to get your text in this hour, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We'll open it up for you later on this hour. Coming up in the hour, we're going to hear from Tony Kemper, the head coach of the Marshall women's basketball team. That is coming up tonight at about 5:30. So he's going to join us about 5:30 to talk about last night's action from the Cam Henderson Center and, of course, also take a look at tomorrow's action, and that's going to be against Southern Miss. Marshall victorious on the road yesterday. The men defeating Texas State 81-73. Up next for Marshall, it's going to be Arkansas State. So this gives me an opportunity to talk to Kara Richey. She is part of the Work Zone. See, I've already botched it. That's why I'm doing it now in this segment, so I don't botch it next segment. She's the host of the Workday Red Zone on the Ticket Radio Network. She's part of the Arkansas State Game Days, and she has a thing for cheese dip. We're going to dig into that just a little bit more. So she's coming on the program, and we're going to talk about Marshall, Arkansas State. We've got some, I don't know. I hate doing this kind of news today because, first of all, on Twitter today, we find out Andre Sam, 1 year at Marshall, he's back in the portal. So Andre Sam doing the typical farewell tweet to everyone, and he's back in the portal. So Marshall losing him. And then we get the official word today. We knew it was happening. Lance Guidry named as the new defensive coordinator at Tulane University. So that means we'll have to find out soon where the Thundering Herd is going to go as far as direction-wise with that position. I hope it wasn't money. I hope it wasn't anything like that. Here's the reason why he's leaving. It's money. I hate it. If that's the case, maybe this is a better opportunity for him. But I just hate it because here we are. Now, Tulane has upped its profile as of late. This is like the second big name that Marshall has lost to Tulane. First of all, Marshall loses Jason Corrier, Marshall's longtime sports information director. So Tulane steals the SID away and now stealing the defensive coordinator. Well, I mean, who's next? Who's next from Marshall going to Tulane here? I hope this isn't becoming a pipeline to Tulane. But no, in all seriousness, I hate to see Lance Guidry go. Did a fantastic job for the Thundering Herd, and hopefully Marshall can find someone that can keep up the good work and hopefully maybe make it even better. So that's always the goal. You want to try to find someone who's better. That's going to be hard to replace Lance Guidry. So he was a pretty good one to have. Big part of Marshall's success these last couple of years, especially on that defensive side of the ball where Marshall was really good. That's basically the setup for what we've got coming up today. Don't forget, we've got the game tomorrow between Marshall and Arkansas State. We go on the air at 2 o'clock. That should be a fun one for the Thundering Herd. Marshall getting the victory yesterday. And Tavion Kinsey was the number 3 scorer on this team. Cam Kerfman was just on fire. Andrew Taylor was getting it done. At one point, Cam Kerfman was like, 5 in a row from the three-point line? Just feeling it. And I knew that Texas State would be tough defensively, and it seemed like Marshall had to scrap in that game, but Texas State played a pretty good offensive game as well. So it felt like it was a scrappy game. Marshall didn't really pull away from Texas State. So it's a pretty good team defensively. Texas State playing well above what we've seen from them this year. I'm just hoping that Marshall can take that on the road a little further to Arkansas State and not have any problems. Because Arkansas State has had problems as of late. Here's a team that they're okay on the home court, so they're pretty good there. They're 8-5 on their home court. They're 7th in the Sun Belt and team defense. They are allowing about 66 points a contest. And they've had some struggles as of late. But again, it looks like this is going to be another one of those scrappy games that Marshall's going to have to go in and grind out a victory. So we'll talk to Kara in a few minutes. Again, she is joining us. She is part of Arkansas State Game Days on the big 107.9 KFIN, part of the Arkansas State Radio Network. And she also hosts the Workday Red Zone on the Ticket Radio Network. So she is basically my expert on Arkansas State. She's coming up next. Looking forward to having fun with her. As let me tell you, when Marshall joined the Sun Belt, there were a lot of people in the Sun Belt media that were pretty welcoming. It was nice. It was nice. I'm not saying that people in the other league, Conference USA, weren't nice. It's just I feel like Sun Belt media sort of maybe like a little bit more kinship already. I just think that's fair to say. Yeah, it feels like the Sun Belt fans as a collective in the Sun Belt media. I don't know, mini SEC maybe? Am I going too far? Let's talk Marshall and Arkansas State when we continue on this edition of The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Welcome back to the Friday edition, The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Marshall's in action tomorrow. It's a 3 o'clock tip. We go on the air at 2 o'clock with our pregame coverage here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. The Thundering Herd now 16-4, 5-2 in Sun Belt play. This is the best start for the Thundering Herd, best 20-game start in a season since the 1986-87 team got off to a 16-4 start. Can Marshall make it 17-4? Well, we're going to find out. And to help me do that, I want to welcome to the program. I've been following her on Twitter for, since Marshall began its Sunbelt Odyssey. She is the host of the Workday Red Zone on the Ticket Radio Network. Also, she is on, and let me tell you, I love the name of the station, the big 107.9 KFIN for Arkansas State Game Days. She is Kara Richey. Good talking to you, Carrie. I need to know. There are a lot of questions I have, and some of them maybe revolve around Arkansas State. But I appreciate you being here.
Hey, thank you so much for the invite. This is our first time to talk, so
yeah.
I appreciate it. I think it should be fun. I hope I'm entertaining for your listeners, maybe even a little bit informative as well.
Well, remember we did a Twitter Spaces one time when everybody won big games in the Sun Belt.
Yeah.
That was a fun week.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was a great weekend across the Sun Belt. I wish that Arkansas State had been able to take a little more part in some of those good times during the football season. But that was an absolutely awesome weekend, and what was a part of, another really good year of Sun Belt football.
So first of all, for those who maybe don't follow Kara, follow her on Twitter. Give her a follow because you don't just cover Arkansas State. You're on top of the Sun Belt. I found that fascinating how much that the Sun Belt media, before the new kids got there, you guys were like already all ganged up in a group here. So you're all over it when it comes not to just Arkansas State, but you keep your finger on the pulse of what's happening in the league a lot.
I try to. It's been a lot of fun over these past few years to watch the league grow, especially the reputation now that the league has developed as a football league. Right at the end of its time as a 10-league conference, and then, of course, this year as a 14-team conference. You kind of – the Sun Belt, you go back about 6 or 7 years ago, and it did not get a lot of love as a conference in anything except maybe a little bit on the diamond. So the league got better before the perception of the league got better. So it was kind of one of those, always rising in terms of the league, and a rising tide lifts all boats, and some of those cliches and things like that. But they ended up being true, and now we're seeing this league have a lot of success, and a lot of teams around the league are getting to celebrate that, and we get to be along for the ride as radio people.
Basketball wasn't really what this league has been known for over the last few years. Where would you put it now? Because it feels like basketball, at least, is very competitive in this league. And, of course, Marshall coming in, having success, Southern Miss coming in, having success. Have you seen the league grow basketball-wise, maybe a little bit faster than people are giving it credit for? Where has it been and where is it now in your mind?
Well, it's it's going to take a few years to get this league where it needs to be from a basketball perspective. And the reason for that is because the perception of the league right now is not as good as the league actually is. And it's going to take a while. To use football as an example, the football passed Conference USA. It passed the MAC about 6 years ago, but it took about 3 years for people outside of the league to realize that. The league's still got a lot of work to do because right now it's probably going to be a one-bid league for the next several years. I do feel like it is deeper, and not just with the new additions. Obviously, Marshall is having a great year. Southern Miss is having a great year, but the Cajuns are having a great year, and some other teams as well that have been in the league for a little bit. So this league is going to have a few years where it gets the results, but does it get the accolades? And so it's going to be a little bit of a slower process than fans are going to want to deal with.
Where does Arkansas State fit in that?
Right now, this is a program that is not having a good year, to be honest with you, men's or women's basketball-wise. Right now, the two teams combined have gone, I think, 2 for 12 on the court. The men's team in particular, I'm sure you've talked about the A-State record, which is not great this season, just one conference win, and a team that is on a little bit of a slide here. So we're looking at a 9-11 season and 1-6 in Sun Belt Conference play. And this is a program that does not really have a history of sustained basketball success. You have a couple of years here and there where you've had a good team, or maybe you had a good team that had a bad time with injury. Something happened at the end of the year that kept you out of the NCAA tournament. But it's still a program that's trying to find some footing and has not gone to the NCAA tournament this millennium.
That is a long time. Marshall had that problem for several years until a few years ago. So I know how that feels as far as not seeing an NCAA tournament bid. But where do you think this program needs to go to be competitive? You got the new kids coming in, and already a couple of them are making some noise here. Arkansas State's one of those established Sun Belt programs, and it feels like every program in this league is trying to do its very best to elevate. How far along do you think Arkansas State is, and what still needs to be done?
That's a great question, and I wish I had a clear answer for you, but right now I do not. And that's actually been a topic of debate on my show for a few years. Why is Arkansas State throughout its program history, which spans 90 years, struggled to have sustained basketball success? And there's not a great answer. There is some Division I talent in this area. There's some great Division I talent an hour away in Memphis. So it's not an area that's necessarily devoid of talent. The program has worked to do a better job in terms of the resources over the past few years, increasing coaching salary, being competitive there. The facility is great. First National Bank Arena is a solid facility. I think the fan support when this team is having success is there. It's probably not coming out as much as a lot of people would like to see this year, but when it's a good team, there's good support. And so that's a great question, and one I'm kind of stalling a little bit on the answer to, because unfortunately I just don't have a great answer to give you in terms of what needs to happen next for Arkansas State to continue to maintain or build on, more than anything else, build on its standing in Sun Belt basketball.
Kara Richey's with me. She's a host of the Workday Red Zone on the Ticket Radio Network. She's also part of Game Days on the big 107.9 KFIN. I just like saying that. Before, I hate to get off topic here, but why KFIN? Explain that to me, because that's just a cool radio name. I'm into radio names.
Well, it's actually K-Fine.
K-Fine. So, okay, K-Fine.
Yes. The E is not on there. So it's KFIN. We call it K-Fine. And, I feel like I should know more of a story about K-Fine because I grew up listening to K-Fine. It is the massive country music station in Northeast Arkansas, and it's also the flagship home of Arkansas State Athletics. But I don't know, and I'm embarrassed to say that I don't know, and I hope my boss doesn't hear this part of the interview because you caught me off guard a little bit there, and I don't have a good answer to that either.
Well, we'll find out next time. Okay, that'll be your homework assignment next time we talk. Why is it K-Fine? Because I just love the name. I mean, I like K-Fin too, so you can use that if you want.
Sometimes though, with very few exceptions, it seems like they just, everything on the east of the Mississippi is a W and everything on the west is a K. But other than that, sometimes it seems like they draw those next three letters out of a hat, and you just end up with a station that way.
I still love it. We have 93.7 The Dog. That's our country station that flags Marshall. 93.7 The Dog.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we have the K Fine and we have the Dog. Some of the probably better radio station names I've heard.
I think so. I agree with you on that, 100%.
Okay, I got off track here because I was just fascinated by that. But Arkansas State, let's talk about this team. Been okay at home, 8-5 at home, 7th in Sun Belt in team defense, 66.1 a contest, holding teams to 43.1% shooting. Why is this team not more successful if they have such a solid defense? Is it lack of scoring? What is it? Can you put your finger on?
Yeah, it's been an offense that has struggled. This is a team right now that doesn't have a ton of depth and it doesn't have a ton of shooting. It's got a lot of really good role players, but this far into the season, there's yet to be that one guy that has emerged that has stepped up and made the big shot when the team needed the shot, whether that's, for a game-winning bucket or whether that's, when you're trying to withstand an opponent's run and you need a shot to get you out of that funk. A-State has not had that guy this year. And you're almost 2/3 of the way into the season. I don't know when that player is going to develop if they have not already emerged. This is also a situation where A-State is hurt a little bit by depth. There were some huge departures last year, statistically and leadership-wise as well, that have left a little bit of a void. And as you mentioned, the defense is fine. There's been plenty of games where A-State's defense has been enough to keep them in it or get them a win, but the points just haven't been able to come. They're kind of in a transitional mode with what they're trying to do defensively. Because of the lack of depth, everything was kind of slowed down a little bit on offense to begin the season and to begin conference play. But they've kind of decided to scrap that and just see if they can go a little bit faster and do a little bit of a better job putting points on the board. But I'm afraid depth is about to be just going to be almost too much or the lack of depth be too much for A-State to overcome and be able to play at the tempo that they want to play.
Is Caleb Fields, who's scoring almost 12 a contest, is he pretty much the primary threat for Arkansas State?
He's one of them. I mean, he's A-State's point guard. He is the team leader, and there's absolutely no doubt about it. But he's kind of more of the court, general in terms of being, the scorer that people need to keep an eye on. Terrence Ford has really emerged in that role. Now, he's normally a point guard as well, but it's Caleb Fields' duty on this team, and Ford has been a little bit more a scorer. The concern with Ford is that, one, he's young, he's a freshman, and, freshmen still make freshman mistakes, although I will say he hasn't made very many of those lately. But the big concern coming up for tomorrow's game with Terrence Ford is the fact that he rolled an ankle, I believe, at the end of the Louisiana game. So I have no idea what his status is for tomorrow. In the postgame last night, head coach Mike Bellato had not had an opportunity to talk with the trainer yet, so I haven't seen an update today. I have no idea what that means for tomorrow, but Terrence Ford has been playing about 30 minutes or even a slight bit more than that, a game. So if he's out tomorrow, that is huge, huge, huge for Arkansas State. Scoring-wise, Malcolm Farrington is the sharpshooter. He's the three-point guy. He could pick up some of that slack, but it would be a big blow if Ford is not able to go tomorrow.
What's the answer for Tavion Kinsey? I mean, he has emerged as Mr. Sunbelt, it feels like, and we've been watching him do this for seasons at Marshall. He's averaging 21 points a contest. He's everything for the Thundering Herd. What's the answer for him, you think, for Arkansas State to maybe try to slow him down to try to stay in this game?
I don't know. I hope he has a bad hot dog before tip-off.
Okay, that's fair.
I genuinely don't know.
That's fair.
He's just what an incredible player. I feel like right now there's a bit of a two-man race in terms of the Sun Belt Player of the Year between Kinsey, who of course is going to be in Jonesboro tomorrow, and in between him and Jordan Brown, who was in Jonesboro last night with the Raging Cajuns. I don't know what the answer is to stop Tavion Kinsey. I'm glad it's not my problem, but it is going to be. It's another reason why if Terrence Ford is unable to play tomorrow night for Arkansas State, that it would just be a huge, 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 huge concern. They're going to put Avery Felt on Kinsey, who is a pesky defender. But, he's not going to be able to do that for 40 minutes without wearing down. Nobody is. So you need that help from Terrence Warren Jr. You need that help from Caleb Fields. So, again, I don't have – has anybody had an answer this season? I mean, goodness gracious. Statistically, I don't know if many people have been able to solve that puzzle.
I was thinking maybe, Arkansas State would be the one. Maybe this is the team that does it, figures it out.
I mean, you can sign me up for that. I'm on board with it. I hope you've kind of manifested that by putting it out into the universe. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, he's only third all-time leading scorer, third time all-time Marshall history, and he's and if he can keep averaging what he is averaging now, and about 12 games, that's 11 regular season games and a tournament appearance, he's probably going to be the all-time leading scorer at Marshall. So. So Arkansas State can maybe throw a monkey wrench into that tomorrow. It's a possibility.
It is a possibility. How many years of Marshall basketball history would he end up, being number one in? 90, 100, more than that?
Let's see. John Elmore broke Skip Henderson's record, which stood since the 80s, and so that was a few years ago. That was when Marshall made its NCAA run and then made its run into CIT and won that. So it's recent for that, but there haven't been, we haven't had this conversation since John Elmore, and before that, we haven't really had this conversation for a long time. So he's working his way up the list there for sure. Joining me on the program from the Workday Red Zone on the Ticket Radio Network, she does it all for Arkansas State on game days. She is Kara Richey. If you follow her on Twitter, she always has some of the best Twitter polls out there. Big snack advocate. I mean, where did that come from? Is that persona, or is that just real life bleeding into the social media?
So my Twitter header right now says, "This is Kara Richey. She is the local sports commentator and advocate of sacks." Somebody sent me that. I don't know. I was tagged in that on Twitter. And I was like, I've had people call me worse than an advocate of snacks. I kind of like this. I'm going to embrace it. So yeah, just a regular old advocate of snacks is what I am.
Fair enough. I was curious because as I'm trying to learn the league still, I'm trying to find out who's fun and who's not so fun. And you're in the fun column. That's obvious.
Okay, I like it.
You're in the fun. I mean, I'm still learning, so I can't put too many people in the not fun column just yet. So I don't know anyone from Texas State, so I don't know if those folks are fun or easy to get along with. The East Division, everybody seems really good so far. You're really one of the few people I've interacted from the West Division. The Georgia State, Georgia Southern folks were really nice. Where would you rank the Marshall people? Just as the new kids, how do we rank as a fan base and a media coming into the Sun Belt?
I would put you guys in the fun group.
Okay.
One, it is clearly a passionate fan base, which is always huge because when you've got new people, you just want to be able to interact. You want to get to know them. So definitely put Marshall in the fun camp there. And I've had a fun conversation today with you. So you get to be placed in the fun camp as well. For the most part, just about anybody in the Sun Belt is in the fun camp. Don't call the Cajuns don't call the Cajuns Lafayette because they get in their feelings about that. And don't ever, ever, ever confuse Georgia State and Georgia Southern because they will hold a grudge for the rest of your life.
Oh, I know that. I've seen their social media. State, not Southern. I get that. Oh, I see that. And of course, don't call App State Appalachian. Don't do that. I've learned that.
Go look up the App State video hot if you haven't already.
Okay, I can do that. Because they're technically a rival of Marshall since those Southern Conference days, and we're here to forward that. That's one thing we're here to forward: the App State rivalry.
Are you saying like rivalry in air quotes right now?
No. This was Marshall and App State back in the Southern Conference days. Oh, this was fun. It's great to be back in the league with them, and of course Georgia Southern were. At the time, they were the new kids coming into the Southern Conference, and they were pretty high on themselves, so they instantly earned the distinction of being a fan base and a team that Marshall loved to beat. So it's great to be in the Sun Belt with those two. It's fantastic.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify.
Yes, yes. App State Marshall, that is a thing. We are making that a thing.
Okay, I like it. More rivalries around the league is always great.
And if Arkansas State beats Marshall tomorrow, that's a thing. I'm making it a thing tomorrow if it happens.
Okay, I'm on board as well.
Okay, good deal. Where can people find you? They want to follow the Sun Belt. You definitely you've got your finger on the pulse when it comes to the West Division and the league in general. You're on Twitter. You're also you've got your show that's daily. It's the Workday Red Zone on the Ticket Radio Network, and that can be streamed, right?
Yes, it can. I've got the website and everything else, I think, in my Twitter bio. So I'm at Kara_Richey. I spend, honestly, an absurd amount of time on Twitter. So that's always the best way to reach me and track me down and keep tabs on the Sun Belt and Arkansas State.
We're going to do this again soon. We'll find a reason. Hopefully, football next year, you're coming, right? That's a thing. You get to travel, right?
This year I did studio host duties, so I'm going to knock on wood that I get to be on a plane or two next season.
Okay, I know that feeling. I do the local studio hosting, so I know that non-travel feeling. So no, that'll be fun. We'll have you back soon. I appreciate you doing this today. I've been looking forward to it, and look forward to hopefully we get a fun game tomorrow.
I hope so. I think we're going to see some points tomorrow. I just hope they're evenly dispersed between both teams. Looking forward to it. Kara, thanks for doing it. I appreciate it. Hey, thanks, Paul. We'll see ya. Kara Richey, host of the Workday Red Zone on the Ticket Radio Network. Tony Kemper on the other side of the break here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Welcome back to the Friday, January 20th edition. It is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. It was a tough night last night for the Marshall women's team at the Cam Henderson Center as Troy Trojans came in and got the victory. And to tell us a little bit more about that matchup and to get us ready for tomorrow's action at the Henderson Center against Southern Miss is Marshall women's basketball coach Tony Kemper. Coach, I appreciate you doing this. You didn't have to do it today, and I appreciate you doing it. And it was a tough one last night because watching this, it felt like that. Okay, the first and second periods, this team was right there with Troy, and then the second half. What can you put your finger on it? Have you had a chance to maybe just look at it, go back and look at it a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of. I often comment that in my post game. It's like you, to a large degree, a lot of times what you think you saw and what you saw sometimes isn't the same thing. But it was last night. I mean, in the third quarter they were just super aggressive, and they really got the ball to the rim, and they're a tremendous rebounding team, and we held them in check for the most part in the first half, and that. The third quarter, the ones we could get them to miss, we couldn't get the rebound, and that's kind of been our team's bugaboo. Is we played relatively well for three quarters, and we had the one where in the third we got outscored 27-11, and in that there's a bunch of shots that you probably don't change. You just got to stick them on our end, and we just can't get them in right now, and but it's. Sometimes that's part of it, and you got to learn how to route. You got to figure out a way to rally your team and keep them fighting. And I know anybody who was there last night, which we had a great crowd, and looking forward to having another good one tomorrow. But they can see that we got a group of fighters, and they'll level off and they'll be ready to compete tomorrow against Southern Miss.
Are things like this, when you go through it, is it more mechanical? Is it more mental? Is it somewhere in between?
I think it's somewhere in between. I mean, it's there's always things that it's like when you look back and you watch the game, you can pinpoint a couple scenarios where it's like if we would have done that mechanical thing better, maybe we get a stop, or maybe we, we're open, but we don't have the ball in the right place to throw it in there, and you learn some of that stuff. But it also becomes mental. I think multiple times, probably even talking to you this year, I often say that basketball and season by season, it's like you got to learn how to win tight games. And, this team was off to a really good start early, and we had kind of done that. And we've hit a rough patch here where, we kind of can't seem to get over the hump. And we fight like crazy. We usually right now we're kind of dealing with one big run from the other team, and we always put a run back on them. It's just we can't quite get it over the hump and keep it there. So it's probably a little bit of both, but it's certainly anytime you're going through a tough stretch, it's mentally it's draining, and you got to keep fighting, and you got to level your emotions. And I think for the most part, our team has done that. I'm proud of them for that. I thought, in the first half, if you look at what we were trying to do to Troy, we did a very good job out of the gate of doing the things we wanted to do. And, Troy's they were the preseason favorite in our league. And you kind of look at what they did last night to win the game. They made 11 threes, and they were 11 for 20. And, I think if you look back over the last 3 or 4 games, they're 3 makes, 4 makes, 3 makes, like that. So they really, we kind of had to pick our poison of what we were okay giving up, and to give them credit, they made shots.
Tony Kemper's with me, head coach of the Marshall women's basketball team, taking on Southern Miss tomorrow at the Cam Henderson Center. Southern Miss coming in, they're a really good team, 13-5, 6-1 in league play. We expect that, though. We expect Southern Miss to always be one of those teams that are really good, and nothing seems to have changed for them.
Yeah, they've got a good program. They've got a tremendous head coach, Joy Lee McNillis, who's been in women's college basketball. I think she has 500 wins in women's college basketball. So she's got some years on me, but she's a great ambassador of the women's college game, and she's done great things down there at Southern Miss. And they've got a good team this year, and they're off to a good start in the league, and it's well earned. They got a post player, Malia Grayson, who is very good, and it kind of starts there, and then it works out to Dominique Davis, who's one of the best guards in our league. So they can kind of get at you from different spots, and we'll have to be tough, and we got to figure out a way to rally and find a way through it, all the way through it, to where we're feeling good on Sunday.
Tony Kemper with me, head coach of the Marshall women's basketball team. There were some positives we can talk about. Then it wasn't bad. It's never all bad. Win or lose, it's never all bad. You had again Abby Beeman. She's out there doing good things, and Rochelle Scott set a new career high with 29 points. So there are things I'm sure you can point to and talk about that are positive for this team as well.
Yeah, I think that you talk about a couple individual performances that were really good, and those two have played consistently pretty well for us. We're starting to play, and if you go watch us, we're playing a lot of people, and so I'm kind of getting the opportunity to see different lineups and a lot of young ladies that haven't played a lot yet, and see what they can do, and that's kind of out of we need a couple people to really step up and take hold of some playing time and make some big plays, but it does give you the opportunity to grow a lot of different people in your program. And so there's definitely positives. You're right. And it starts with just the overall spirit of our team. You can see that they've got character, and that's appreciated from my end. I enjoy coaching them. I enjoy trying to go through the process with them. And, I'm excited about hopefully the ability to quickly turn the page here. We got to have something good go on, and I think they understand that too. We got to get our chins up off the ground. I think the last couple practices we've really worked hard to try to get that done. And part of it is we've played really good teams here at home, so we haven't been able to come home and get well, so to speak. Last time we were at home, we played James Madison and Georgia Southern. If you look at the league standings, two of the teams near the top. And then this weekend, there's 3 teams that are 6-1, and that's James Madison, Troy, and Southern Miss. So 3 of the 4 games at home have been at some of the best teams in the league. So we've got to find a way through that, though, and I'm excited about the opportunity to do so.
Tony Kemper, my guest, head coach of the Marshall women's basketball team. All right, let's get really serious here. How big of a Bengals fan are you going to be if the if Kansas City wins on Saturday? How big of a Bengals fan Sunday will you be?
Well, I think that we're scared of the Bengals, right? Isn't that the deal here?
I mean,
you guys are about the only people that we can't beat. So
I like it.
We kind of have Josh Allen's number, but Joey, we can't deal with him right now. So I think I'm letting you down easy there. I think I'm going for the Bills just because I don't want to see the Bengals.
That's fine. All right, that's fine. Okay, that just
you guys, it's out of respect that I do that though.
That makes it sweeter. When the Bills lose on Sunday, that just makes it sweeter for me.
Well, we've got to deal with Trevor Lawrence first. I mean, he's 37-0 on Saturdays. Never been beat on a Saturday.
So it could be the Bengals playing host to not Kansas City on something. Okay, not Kansas City. Cincinnati versus not Kansas City. Okay.
And I think we understand that. Patrick's got to rally the troops. We got to get a big dub.
Okay, I'll be thinking about you on Saturday in many ways, and then on Sunday, bring that hate. Just go ahead, bring it now. I want it all.
Well, I will be quiet. You won't hear much from me, but I think when you look at the success, that there's kind of one team that we don't really have their number. And that's you guys. So, what's 3 in a row, right?
That is
We've
3.
lost 3 in a row to you guys.
That is 3. I'm looking forward to 4, but it's okay.
In the first 2 we kind of controlled at a certain time, and we couldn't get it over the line. And then the last one, we played from behind for most of it. And so, I don't know. You guys are a situation we can't seem to find our way out of.
That is Tony Kemper, who brought all this upon himself here, a season and a half ago? Was it? It was a season and a half ago. You brought this all on yourself. Yeah,
I didn't think it was going to happen. I'm going to be honest with you. I was fairly confident going in there, but now we've been humbled a couple times, so we're not going to give any bulletin board material. I do think that those 3 teams, my NFL analysis, 3 teams are all pretty good. So I think any one of them can hopefully get in there and win one for the AFC.
So, just so you know, we've got the game on radio. So you're in action on Saturday, 1:00.
Okay.
Saturday, you'll be done,
yep.
And then you can get in your car and you can drive home listening to 94.1 or AM 930. Okay. We'll have the game on the radio as you're driving home, and so everyone who wants to go to the game at the Henderson Center and then follow along with the football game afterwards can keep it right here. We've got the game. There you go.
I like it.
I'll be on 93.7 The Dog doing the Marshall men's game, but come on, everyone's going to be tuning into the Jags and the Chiefs. We know that.
How about Coach D'Antoni and his guys, man? They're playing well. They are fun to watch.
He's fun to watch, but that Kinsey kid's okay.
He is.
He's okay.
I saw on Twitter today that Cam Kerfman is 18 for his last 31 from 3, which that would be helpful. That's pretty hot. That's a pretty good streak.
He's okay. Yeah, he's okay. That Andrew Taylor guy is okay. I mean, they're okay. They're all right. And
they've got it rolling.
They're not terrible.
They're fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yep.
I hope it turns around for you tomorrow. We're looking forward to it. It's Marshall taking on Southern Miss. That should be a fun win, and it'll be at the Cam Henderson Center. So if you are anywhere in the vicinity tomorrow, you have a few hours, go check out the herd and give them some support. We'll do it again next week, Coach. Looking forward to it.
Thanks, Paul. See you.
Tony Kemper, head coach of the Marshall women's basketball team. We'll wrap this one up when we continue on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
We are wrapping it up on today's edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 AM 930. Marshall's in action tomorrow, taking on Arkansas State. Now, I got to clarify schedules here. I got to make sure everyone knows and that I'm expressing it correctly. If you want to listen to the game tomorrow, it's going to be on 93.7 The Dog, because we have the divisional playoff series schedule. Jacksonville taking on Kansas City, and then It's going to be New York and Philadelphia. That's on Saturday. That's going to be here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. So I just want to make sure that I'm saying it correctly and I'm clarifying that if you want to listen to tomorrow's Marshall game, that's going to be on 93.7 The Dog. Football on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. So just want to make sure that you know that, and I remember that because we have a lot of action tomorrow on the radio waves. And of course, if you're heading to the Marshall game, you can listen to our pregame over on 93.7 The Dog, or if you want to catch a little bit of the football game, you can jump back and forth. It's cool, whichever one you want to go with. And then on Sunday, we've got the Bengals and the Bills. Bengals and Bills. That's going to be a little earlier than normal because we got the Bengals Radio Network broadcast of that. So we will go on the air at 1:30 on Sunday with the Bengals and the Bills. And then as soon as the Bengals and Bills game is over, we will graciously get into the Cowboys and 49ers game so you can listen to that. And, of course, hopefully we're talking about a Bengals victory. And, with all respect to my friend, Marshall women's basketball coach Tony Kemper, I hope it's Jacksonville and Cincinnati. That's what I want to see. I want to see Jacksonville at Cincinnati for the AFC Championship. But if the Bengals have got to go to Kansas City, let's do that. If that's what has to happen, let's do that and make it, once again, Mahomes versus Burrow. I'm all for that. So that's where we're at. We got all that action coming up. And again, it's coming up tomorrow in your favorite radio station, on your favorite radio station, ESPN 94.1 AM 930 for NFL. Herd Hoops, 93.7 The Dog. Okay, I think I've stressed everything I possibly can, and we are done. I appreciate it. Have fun show today. It was great to talk to Kara Richey from she does all the Arkansas State stuff for the Big Fine 107.9 K Fine, the Big 107.9 K Fine. It looked like Finn to me. KFIN, the K-Fin. I like K-Fin better, but that's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for tuning in. Also, appreciate Tony Kemper, head coach of the Marshall women's basketball team, for jumping on and talking a little Herd Hoops with us. We're going to be back tomorrow for pregame coverage, Marshall and Arkansas State. That will be on 93.7 The Dog. Thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a great weekend, and we'll do it all again tomorrow. And then hopefully we'll have even a better weekend after the Herd wins.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.